on? Wanted to do a few different videos about being a newbie in trucking. If you're thinking about coming into the industry, get a lot of questions all the time, you know, hey, I want to get my license, I want to get my permit, you know, what companies are good for training, stuff like that. Wanted to touch on, you know, I've been driving almost 20 years now. Well, it's been 20 years, and I've been in many different facets of trucking. I've been an owner-operator, company driver. I've been over the road, local, done freight, flatbed, step decks, low boys, hauled equipment. I would say probably the biggest scope of what I've done has been either local or over-the-road hazmat fuel tanker work. There are a lot of companies out there to get started with. You hear a lot of different things, a lot of misinformation. I can try to help you out here with some building blocks if you're thinking about coming into the industry. Take it from somebody who's been around a few years. There's a lot of guys out there giving advice that may have not been in the industry more than just a few years. What's up?
What's up?
You want to get down on some of this? Being a newer driver yourself, or not.
I don't know.
You want to play Call of Duty instead? Right?
Right.
Or you don't know what you're going to add to it?
Yeah, I don't know what I could add to it.
Well, I'm just bringing it up as a, you know, your direct experience. What's up? Ball and chain. Check out our merch. We got shirts.
Yes.
Shit like that. Anyway, the first question to ask before you try to go calling companies and everything is to, I think, put down, get a pen and a pad of paper and maybe do a little self-assessment of what you're looking for. A lot of people jump into this and the stats don't lie. I mean, I was an instructor at a trucking school, the one that she went to, and the stats are true. I mean, everybody that goes and gets their CDL as a rookie, and then they come back out and they try to get on the road and go get trained at a company and stuff doing over the road work, because a lot of times that's where you're going to end up at first, is doing over the road work, going to these companies like Swift, Werner, Schneider, Covenant, Prime, you know, that take on students. Within 1 year, 50% of all new drivers are out of the industry. You lasted more than a year.
Yeah, I'm more than a year. Not by much.
But within 1 year, 50% are out totally. They're not involved in trucking at all. So that's really something to consider when you want to get into this, because you are taking on a financial burden of going to school and giving yourself a debt of up to $7,000 or even $8,000. So a lot of people just jump into it out of desperation. They don't know where to go in their life. You know, maybe you're in your early 20s and you're looking for a new direction. But it's a big burden to take on, especially if you do have certain responsibilities. And also, the base question is, are you cut out for trucking? People think it's an easy job.
Yeah.
Now, you're not going out and pounding nails every day. You're not, you know, working in 150-degree heat outside. You may be in a truck, it's air conditioned, stuff like that. But are you cut out for this lifestyle? Because it's not an 8-hour job. You're not punching a clock Monday through Friday. And a lot of people may have come from that background with little or no work experience, thinking an 8-hour day is actually a hard day.
Yeah.
So, can you handle it? Is the first question. You're looking at being on the road for months at a time, driving nights, days, dealing with sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
A lot of sleep deprivation. You do not sleep well in the truck. You take, at best, naps. You know, you get a couple hours here, a couple hours there, and then it's 11 p.m. and you got to go drive for the next 12 hours. You know.
And you can't just say, I'm tired.
I don't want to do it. You know, I've seen a lot of guys do that too. They just go to bed instead. They don't care. Well, these are the guys that don't last. And they end up, you know, a lot of it comes to that they end up blaming the industry. They don't want to take responsibility for themselves. You got yourself into this. This is the question to ask before you even get into it and put anybody through the trouble, especially you, your family, your kids, anybody that you're responsible to also. Are you cut out for this life? A lot of people come into it and they fall right back out. Okay, so can you handle the workload? First question to ask. Can you work 12, 14, or even more hours per day? It's not even hours that are going to be on the clock.
Well, yeah, and can you do it in normal, not day hours? You know,
yeah, any time of day or night.
Yeah, because it depends on when your delivery is. You might have to get up at 1 o'clock to get to your delivery on time, or it might deliver at 3 a.m. or you know, it could be in the afternoon. I mean, it's always different.
Definitely a very up and down lifestyle. So if that's not something that's interesting to you, or that you don't think you can handle, don't do it. Next thing would be the support system you have at home. Okay, that's where you got to break down. Are you single? Are you married? Are you in a relationship? And I know when you're younger too, if you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend at home or whatever, and you want to get into trucking, you might as well kiss that relationship goodbye. It's not going to last. If you're married, you might have a little bit more backbone into it, especially if you have kids and everything. But you want to go take on this life on the road and be gone. Is your spouse going to support you? I mean, you're going to be gone for months, and the money is not going to be there first either. You're going to struggle. And if you can make that transition, if you're single with no overhead, no bills, no rent, no car payment, no pets, anything, you're just single and free to go about the world, your life will be much easier getting into trucking.
Yeah.
But anybody that has a family, if you think you're just going to walk into trucking and go, oh, I'm just going to get some local job or something like that, chances are you won't. You're going to be stuck with this CDL, and then you're going to be walking around in town going to look for work. And a lot of times too, the jobs you're going to find as a local driver with no experience are not going to pay. You're not going to make enough money to feed a household.
Yeah,
so
you're going to make just as much as if you work at McDonald's probably.
Yeah, you're better off just staying at McDonald's. So at least there you get a regular shift. Because even working local, they're going to expect you to work odd hours.
A lot of nights.
It'll probably be night work and stuff like that. So you got to make sure that you have a home life that can sustain that. Yeah, kids, wife, everything. You know, you can. The divorce rate in trucking is also very high, same as military.
Yeah.
You know, anybody that works on the road for long periods of time or is out of town, gone, eventually, if like me, if I was gone all the time, what would happen with her? These are valid questions you should ask yourself before just blindly jumping into trucking. Yeah, you're away from home. What's your attitude towards that? Do you get homesick? You know, a lot of guys that get out there and within a couple weeks are like, I don't want to go home, this sucks, you know. Trust me, I like being home just as much as anybody else. You know, it does affect you. It will affect you.
Yeah, it takes others longer than others, but eventually.
Everybody's different. This is where a little self-assessment on your end will definitely help your decision, you know, if you're cut out for this or not. Because there are a lot of preconceptions in trucking too, that all you do is drive, and that's not true. The common perception I saw was like it was a lazy man's ticket. You know, you go and get your CDL. All I gotta do is drive a truck. I don't have to do nothing no more. You know, I'm just gonna sit there. I'm gonna drive. I don't have to work. I don't have to, you know, lift a finger or anything like that. Not true.
Not true.
You know, there are times even working for these big companies, I've had to unload freight.
Yeah.
I got to get in there and hump an entire trailer by myself. You know, you do have to work. You got to get out there and hustle. The other common misconception is it's just easy work. That you're just gonna fall right into it and oh, it's just, I drive a car every day. I can drive on long trips. I can take road trips. I love it. You know, yeah, you wait until you're turning out, especially like team drivers, turning out over 1,000 miles a day every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
With little sleep or not, it's not complete sleep. Even if you can manage to get your full night of sleep in, it's not going to be in one consecutive stretch. It's going to be 2 to 3 hours at a time because whoever's driving, chances are they're going to have to stop and go pee, they're going to have to fuel, or they're going to get hungry, and every time that truck stops, you're going to wake up.
Yeah. Usually. Most people.
Most people. Unless you're like...
Well, Sam.
Yeah.
I'd have to get back there. I could get back there with goddamn dynamite. He wouldn't wake up. He'd be like, what the fuck, dude? Get up. All right. So yeah, don't think that this job is just easy. You're going to fall into it. You're going to be rich. You're going to make a ton of money. All this kind of stuff. There are steps to this, you know. And when you come out with your CDL and you go right into a training company, it's going to be months before you see that turnaround happen. And that's if you make it through the training process. Because then too, a number of factors come in. Then, do you have the skill set? Some people are not cut out to drive truck. They just can't do it. They don't have the mind for it. They can't work it out in their head how to back the truck up. They stress out too much. Like, you gotta hide that.
I just thought it was funny. We're being all serious.
Yeah, really. So we're being all proper over here.
Proper.
Oi! So, but it is true. A lot of guys come into this industry and think it's just going to be easy. All I got to do is drive. Oh, no big fucking deal, dude. You know, and they take even their truck driving school experience as like, I got experience driving. No, you do not.
No, you don't.
She found out firsthand. I took her out on the road with me, and I trained her. She had the ease of having her own husband in the truck with her and training her, and still, your experience was nerve-wracking.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So.
Well, and then, too, in the beginning, man, I couldn't go more than 100 miles without having to stop and go pee.
Yeah. Yeah,
it took a long time to like.
The driving a truck is very different, and I always had a saying for it that it takes a while to build up to driving 500 and 600 miles in a shift. I call it getting some lead in your ass.
Yeah.
You got to learn how to sit there and be able to drive, and the shaking of the truck because you're under constant vibration too. A truck rides very rigid. I mean, even when you're under a load, the truck bounces a lot. There's a lot of potholes. You realize how fucked up roads are as soon as you're in a truck. They do not ride well.
What, a good 6 months till I could get 400 or 500 miles in.
Yeah, it took a while.
Yeah, and then right at the end I could get over 500 easily. It was no big deal. But that took a long time to be able to drive that amount in your allotted amount of time that you're allowed to drive for the day. Yeah,
pulling over, taking breaks, having to go to the bathroom, getting something to eat, just needing to get out of the truck and stretch. Yeah. Things like that. Yeah, it does take a toll for quite some time until you finally settle into it. You know, you give yourself your first year before you're really going to feel acclimated in a truck.
Yeah.
So that is true. What else was I going to? But also different kinds of trucking you may want to get into. Dry van, refrigerated, flatbed. Okay. Probably the least labor-intensive parts of trucking are going to be things like dry van and reefer. You know, when you're dealing with the big companies, a lot more of it's going to be a lot more driving, drop and hook, or just spending time at docks and stuff like that. But you not physically having to go in and unload the freight. Okay, you get in the flatbed. Now, while you have forklifts that will load your truck and all that kind of stuff, you physically in flatbed have to crawl up on the trailer. You have to tarp. You have to chain, rope, strap, whatever. Okay, you literally may be stepping on an inch of the edge of that trailer trying to hump your tarp up and over freight and stuff like that too, happening in all weather conditions. And when you roll that tarp out, a lot of guys, oh, I want to like it's man's work, you know, or something like that. Yeah, it's real manly when you throw that tarp up and it gets caught in the wind and fucking acts like a parachute and drags you off. No, it's serious. I mean, there's guys that I know, they broke their fucking back, literally broke their back. You're done. You're fucked. Yeah. You know, and the wind blew his tarp off and he was right there with it, took him with him. He fucking sailed right off, flat on his back, right on the fucking concrete, knocked out with a broken back. He woke up in the hospital, you know. So flatbed is a whole different animal too when you're talking about work intensive labor. That's really about it as far as that goes. Are you cut out for driving? Hopefully a little self-assessment ahead of time before you just start calling trucking schools or start calling companies and saying, hey, I want to do this. Make sure it fits your lifestyle. And before you take on the burden of a debt and hurt your family, potentially, you know, spouse, kids, whatever you have going on, you save yourself the trouble, maybe check into a different industry if these things don't fit you. Yeah. You really got to have that support at home, because otherwise you're just going to be fighting to come home all the time, or it probably fighting and cost me a lot of family life. Yeah. It has. I've watched my daughter grow up in pictures a lot of the time. You know, it's been hard. Even when I was working local, I never got to see family because I was out working like 12, 14 plus hours a day. You come home just enough to take a shower, go to sleep, maybe fucking shovel some food down your throat, and you're right back at it. So any family function, school function, anything with the kids, concerts, plays, whatever, you miss.
Yeah.
Most of the time you're going to miss it, even though you're just 10 miles down the street at work, because you can't break away. So hopefully this information helps. We're going to do a series of videos of beginning trucking, and the next one I think will be good starter companies that you get training at. I've got 5 companies that I think I would recommend to new drivers if you're really willing to take the jump. I think these ones are going to be your best possible way to go. Again, it's just opinion. I'm going to be missing some of the facts as far as the exact pay. These are things to talk with a recruiter about, but as far as I can see from the training perspective, these companies are the best at their training programs and preparing students for truck driving the best. So we'll touch on that one next.
Yep, so stay tuned.
Please like, share, subscribe, Ball and Chain Films.
Ball and Chain
Go
Films.
and check out our merch. You'll see the link below. Teespring, okay? We got Ball and Chain, 6ix9ine Mafia, of course. Our fans are the 6ix9ine Mafia.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct.
All right. So I guess we're out. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, have a good weekend.
Yeah. Oi!
It never gets old.
All right. Out.
Out.
Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day.